BYD has announced that they will raise battery pack prices by at least 20% starting next month. So number one, why are they doing this? And number two, is this a good thing or a bad thing? Hello, my friends. Welcome to the Electric Viking. Fantastic to see you. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Sam Evans. I hope you've had an awesome day. Now, thank you for subscribing. Thanks for liking the videos. And thanks for commenting on the videos as well. It's always interesting to see what you think about what I'm saying, about the news, and what you think on my take on these videos. Because as you know, I don't just present news, I also present to you my take on what is really going on. Often I think journalists just say what they want people to hear or say what's most sensational. And usually I'll try and read through that through doing additional research to find out what is really happening. If you weren't already aware, BYD is China's largest new energy vehicle company. They're also technically right now the fourth largest battery company in the world and the second largest battery company in China. However, based on what I believe was their gigawatt hour battery output in September, it's likely that in September they were the second largest battery company in the world based on output. What am I basing those numbers off? Well, simply the number of cars that they're selling with electric battery packs, which is absolutely astronomical. Seriously, BYD are selling 300% more cars powered with a battery in the month of September versus the same month last year. Now they are about a 92% electric vehicle company. So BYD have very quickly transitioned from a company that was selling about half of their cars as petrol cars to more than 90% in the space of only, say, about 6 months. For a company that sells batteries and manufactures batteries, that's possible. For a company like Toyota, not so possible, especially when the numbers are so different. Toyota's vehicle sales in 2020 were around 9 million. Well, BYD's were less than 450,000. However, by 2030, I believe BYD will sell 5 million electric vehicles per year. Toyota, on the other hand, will be in serious trouble. Now, BYD are raising the price, the official price. Of course, we know these things are always a bit different when you do deals with a company, of their battery packs by 20%. This has made huge news in the industry, and it's led to a lot of kind of fear and panic. A lot of comments I've been reading about this news are people saying, oh yes, of course, batteries are going to go up in price over the next 10 years and it's all so dire and terrible. And no, it's not. You're reacting to what you think is news. I'll explain what I mean in a second. BYD is raising the prices of its battery products by no less than 20% from November the 1st, the Securities Times said on Tuesday, citing an unofficial document. BYD hasn't refuted the claim though, so it does appear as though this is what's happening. BYD's reason is that due to market changes, power restrictions and production limits, the raw materials for lithium batteries in 2021 continue to rise with the price of cathode material rising by more than 200% and electrolyte prices rising by more than 150%. Material supply continues to be tight, resulting in a significant increase in comprehensive costs, according to the Securities Times. Since November 1, after November 1, BYD and its customers will sign new contracts for new orders and implement new prices, and orders for old contracts that have not been completed will be closed and cancelled, according to the report. Obviously, some companies have made tentative orders, not signed any official documents to go ahead with production, and they're referring to those contracts. Local media in China then quoted BYD insiders as saying that the information is currently being verified and does appear to be correct. Data released earlier this month by China Automotive Battery Innovation Alliance showed that BYD's installed power battery capacity in China was 14.73 gigawatt hours from January to September this year, with a 16% market share. That, of course, though, doesn't include the month of September or the month of October. I believe BYD's likely gigawatt hour output in the month of September would have been at least 4.5 gigawatt hours. Their output has increased significantly thanks to their huge increase in electric car sales. In addition to that, BYD has also been working on a number of different energy storage projects, so demand for their batteries has increased. Have a think about that. CATL's installed capacity from January to September was 46.8 gigawatt hours, ranking first with a 51% market share. Obviously, CATL is the world's largest battery company. Now, it's worth considering, though, that BYD's power cells, battery packs, and cells are mostly supplied to itself and have been used in some other brands' new energy logistics vehicles since 2018. This year, the Ford Mustang Mach-E and the FAW Hongqi models started using BYD's Blade battery packs. In May, DigiTimes reported that with the price increase of China-made Tesla Model 3 vehicles, rumors said CATL might follow with a 10% price increase. Now, this report mentioned that LFP raw material prices have jumped 50% this year, but battery suppliers have taken on the pressure of the price hike themselves for fear it would lead to lost orders. And obviously, the truth is that this is not an objective fact in and of itself. It's just honestly to you that it's an objective fact when it's not. Mineral monthly, constantly fluctuate from minute to minute, hour to hour. So trying to say that these prices are all up by these exact figures isn't correct. The truth is that battery companies of this size don't just order battery. They don't just call up BHP and say, hey, I noticed that the price is at an all-time high today. Could I buy some batteries? Could I buy some minerals to make my batteries today based on the all-time price high today? They have supply contracts that last for years. So the truth is that a lot of these companies are not affected by these changes in price at all, usually, if they're well prepared for the situation. And they certainly don't buy at the highest point in the market. That's pretty unusual and pretty unlikely. Of course, a journalist would like you to believe that that's the case, so that it sounds really sensational and a really believable story. And wow, this is scary. There's not enough batteries and there's going to be problems. And that's what they want you to believe. Drama sells. Now, citing sources, this makers want CATL to take the lead in raising prices in response to the steep rise in LFP material costs, making it easy for the industry to follow suit. If CATL raises their prices, then everyone else can do the same. Now, BYD reportedly have the cheapest battery pack prices of any LFP company on the planet. So right now they're supplying their vehicles, right? Which have tripled in the number of batteries they're actually deploying. The number of battery deployment in their vehicles has tripled in the month of September. I expect it will more than triple in the month of October. In other words, they're working their asses off, getting the majority of the battery, pretty much all the battery supply that they have, into their own cars. In addition to that, they're supplying batteries for Ford Mustang Mach-E in China and for the FAW Hongqi models. In addition to that, Tesla has just signed a contract with BYD for 10 gigawatt hours of battery supply per year. So right now, BYD has no extra supply. There is no way known that if you add up all this, put all this together, that BYD has any supply to spare. So the truth is, they're basically saying, if you want to order now, then somehow magically we'll come up with it. But you've got to pay 20% extra because we don't need the order. We simply don't need your order because we're already putting out maximum capacity. If you have a look at the battery deployment that BYD deployed last year versus this year they've already doubled their deployment of last year and more. Considering their deployment increase this year, it's just stratospheric. And that's for their own cars only. If you don't count everything else, if you don't count the contract for Tesla, if you don't count the contract for Ford, if you don't count the contract for FAW. So in other words, BYD just don't have batteries. The likelihood that they have magical supply coming out of their ass, they can just hand out willy-nilly and it just goes on forever, is zero. BYD is basically marketing the fact that LFP batteries are in short supply because everyone wants them now. Why? Well, all the safety problems, none of them have been with lithium iron phosphate batteries. None of them have they. Tell me a time when someone said, hey, my car set itself on fire from LFP batteries. You can't tell me one because it hasn't happened. There's been a few accidents, yes, where there's been battery fires in LFP batteries, but there's never been an isolated battery fire in an LFP battery pack in a vehicle. So LG Chem, what do they have to pay General Motors? $1.2 billion from all these battery problems in General Motors cars. Volkswagen is having the same issue where they're moving away from LG Chem's batteries. Hyundai, same issue. They're moving away from LG Chem's batteries because everyone wants LFP batteries now. Suddenly the market has come to their senses and realized that actually, yeah, they're a pretty damn good choice. BYD made the right bet on the right battery chemistry, and now it is paying off for them big time. They're not raising their prices because of all these other things. They're raising their prices because they can. Why is Tesla raising their prices constantly in America? Because they can. Is it really costing Tesla, 20% more or 10% more to build these cars? No, of course it's not. All they do, Tesla is constantly focused on reducing costs of its vehicles. Constantly. That's what they work on 24 hours every freaking day. Reduce cost, bring in more machines that will do more of the most focus on that by far. How do we know that? Well, their margins of 30% lead the industry by a factor of 3 versus their competitors. Clearly, Tesla are not paying more for their cars, but they are constantly increasing their prices in America because demand is astronomical. Now, obviously, Tesla just got an order for 100,000 Model 3 vehicles, and it's turned out that the company that ordered 100,000 vehicles paid full retail price. When have you ever heard of that happening? I've never heard of anything like that happening in my life. Usually fleet sales are massively discounted. But Tesla says, no, sorry Hertz, but we don't need your order. So basically you can piss off if you don't want our business. We don't need it. What does Hertz say? Okay, we'll buy 100,000 at full retail. This is the position BYD is in right now. They don't need anyone's orders. The other companies need them. Now, obviously, over time, as more battery supply ramps up from all the other different battery manufacturers in the world that are building out more battery capacity, and there is many of them. I've made a video on all the factories that are producing batteries. I'll put a link to that in the description below. But there is battery factories going up all over the world, all over China, and this will mean that at some point, there'll be a lot more supply. Now, remember, BYD recently purchased 4 different lots in China for a total of about 400 acres of land where they're building more factories. Now, what are they going to do? Obviously, build more batteries. When there's more, they might want to sell more. But right now, there isn't more, so they're not. Hope you've enjoyed the video. Hope that was interesting to you. Let me know what you think. Do you think I'm right? Do you think I'm wrong? I'm fascinated to know what you think about this story. Thanks for liking, subscribing, tuning in. Hope you have an awesome day, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye.